to my knees. Please, Father, set me free. I know you see all the pain inside me. Rosary, Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, remember me. Holding on tightly to my rosary. I'm a sinner, from cradle to grave. Jesus, I hope it is I that you save. The tears I've cried regarding my life, please, Lord, don't cut me out of the book of life. Rosary, Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, remember me. Holding on tightly to my rosary. My repentant heart bleeds, my spirit cries. I'm completely dying inside. My sins are great. I've dread the fire lake. Forgive me. What will it take? Reach for me, oh Lord, in my weakest moment. All of thy own. Rosary, Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, remember me. Holding on tightly to my rosary. I am guilty. I am guilty and filthy. Forgive me, take this pain away. I know I stray. My soul is tired with heavy burdens, no clergyman redemption. I stand alone, my sins ingrained into my bones. Heaven or hell, where will my soul dwell? Eternity is waiting for me. Jesus, I beg, have mercy on me. Rosary, Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, remember me. Holding on tightly to my rosary. Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, remember me. Holding on tightly to my rosary. Rosarium, Mater Maria, potensni miuve.
As I travel this life alone, two paths both unknown. For what already has this life shown? The first step I diverged from normalcy. No paper cut out life for me. I did it my way, not much more to say. less traveled, dark and cold, I came upon a fork in the road. I pondered, both mind free. The fall had come, for yellow is the autumn tree. Both I long to travel, for I'm but one. I could not see, for both were bent, the overgrowth and canopy. Where will destiny lead me? The first step I diverged from normalcy. No paper cut out life for me. I did it my way, not much more to say. I began my journey on the road less traveled. Regret haunts me at times, looking back wondering where the other path myself would find. But both paths are traveled equally, for many take the zombie road to normalcy, and others seek individuality. From the wear on the trail it appears 50-50. With every footstep came pitfalls and risks, rewards and opportunities. Looking back, what did I really miss? The first step I diverged from normalcy. No paper cut out life for me. I did it my way, not much more to say.
Mis hijos, mamá les ama, mamá les encontrará y traerá a casa nuevamente, para que podamos estar juntos para siempre.
Oh, there we go. And here we are. Hey, so welcome to the Paranormal Roundtable. This is PRT. Join us in the real reality. You know the story. You know how it goes. And so here we are. Oh man. Somebody asked a question on here. They said, "Does it come from Chad?" Jordan, you must not have been around for a while. Where you been, Jordan? Yeah, I haven't seen you in a chat in a while. Does it come from Chad, or is he a Chad that turns into a hyena, and maybe both? Yeah. Where have you been, Jordan? I ain't seen you.
You've been slacking on us, Jordan.
Jordan said he slept through the last one. Jeez Louise. Was that boring? Is that bad? Was that horrible? What were we talking about in the last episode? What were we even? I don't even know what we were discussing.
No, it was the dogman on the loose in Central Texas, the encounter in Taylor.
Put the camera on you so you can say. What was it again?
It was about the dogman encounter that happened in right here in Taylor, and then we showed that video that security footage of the guy who he just appeared out of nowhere in the street, starts walking, and if you haven't seen it from last night, you gotta check that out. So we played a video that someone sent Wolf of a street in Taylor, Texas. That's our hometown, and that's where he had his dogman werewolf. We saw this giant thing, this like a huge canine on two legs, a freaking monster. But during that time period, several other people saw the same thing in Taylor, Texas, around 1990, like early 90s. And someone had sent him security
late
footage.
80s, early 90s.
Yeah, late 80s, early 90s. But someone had sent him security footage of it's facing the street. It's at their house, and this guy appears out of nowhere, and he walks down the street the whole time. You can see right through him. He's like a figure, and then he disappears. He like fades away as he walks further and further down the street. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, it's one of these weird things where, I don't know, because it's on that same street where somebody had their encounter with what they believed was a werewolf, and so the person that it happened to was Lola. And then her brother Robert had an encounter there, and then it was another person, their neighbors, David and his wife. So they had all seen this thing. David and his wife, because Lola she didn't think she was going to make it to her house. She just ran up to their house.
Mm-hmm.
And then it really got weird. I mean, it really got weird. But thank goodness that she had neighbors and friends that could, help her. But so Red Dallas Fed says, "What's a Chad?" A Chad is somebody who is like a very hyper masculine person, and it's a term. I don't even know where this.
It's an internet meme. It comes from like image boards like 4chan.
Yeah, and it was started by younger generation people.
Yeah,
they just pick out names like Karen and Chad. And
don't worry, you're not. If you don't know what it means, you're not missing out on anything important. It's just simple internet like nonsense, but it's just a made up word.
Yeah, Thank you for that donation. Donations are not expected, but they're definitely helpful to keep the show going. So tonight was going to be we weren't supposed to be here tonight talking about this on a regular live stream, but we were so late that I didn't know how it would do with the members only. And so we're going to try and get that done Saturday. And I don't know how that's going to work. I'm going to try and maybe do the third part of this on Saturday. But tonight we're going to talk about the Bultungin. And so you're lucky if you didn't, even if you're not a member, you get to be a part of it. But get your name in green, because Saturday is going to be the conclusion. And the conclusion to this will not be on Saturday's episode. You will have to be a member. It'll be members only. So, and we're going to try and get our asses in gear so we can get, an early start. But thank you, Matt, for that donation. Whatever y'all can do, it helps the show. It helps keep it going. Let me see what I can do here. Sean Hertel, you guys always helping out. Thank you so much. Hang on one second. Getting a call from work. So here's what happened here. Like if I just click that button for a second, 10, 15 people leave. They just freak out, dude. They're like, well, he's gone. He's dead. They're like dogs. He's never coming back. That right there. Gold and silver, right? End higher, but sudden midday sell-off may indicate near-term peak. No. That's bullshit. Bullshit. The little kid, the little meme where the kid's saying that. I don't condone children cussing at all, but it is funny that kid's just like that's not the case, man. I'm gonna tell you right now. Let's see if I can get this going here.
I mean, but there's going to be a correction at some point, right?
There's already been a couple corrections, and there will be more, but it's not gonna.
Overall, it's going to keep.
It's going to keep going up. I think we're looking at probably for gold. It could be at a peak on gold, but not silver.
Yeah.
I got something to say about that. And while we're waiting for people to get into the chat here, and who knows how many people we're going to get in this late at night. It's almost 11 p.m. here. People can just catch the replay or whatever.
Yeah, I was watching this dude talk about like his strategy for silver, and he was talking about he pays close attention to the gold to silver ratio.
Okay, I was just about to explain that. So here's the gold to silver ratio, and what it's always how it's always been important. First thing you got to know is gold. Okay, right now it's I look up what gold and silver are today. Right now, I don't know exactly.
Okay, let me see.
And just go to the futures. Don't just go to the regular whatever. Go to the stock market futures.
Gold futures are 52.49.
52.49. So it went back
Silver
down
futures,
because it had gone all the way up to 55. So it went back down, right? Well, that's a correction right there. So silver is at what, 117?
111.16.
So it went down.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the thing. So it's about 45 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. I'm going to tell y'all something, and you may think I'm completely nuts about this, but I know my deal here. I know what I'm talking about, and I've been right. I told you who was going to win all the football games, didn't I? And they did, right? I told you the gold silver was going to go up, and it did, right? I said to invest in NVIDIA, and if you did, you made money, right? I'm going to tell you, man. Okay, I have a nose for this thing. I'm going to tell you. This is what's crazy. Okay, so silver is going to be the production of silver is being outdone by the purchase of. In other words, more people are buying silver up, and they're not producing enough of it. So the silver mines are going to be exhausted because, unlike gold, which is considered a monetary metal, right? It's predominantly kept in circulation, right? The gold that is mined from the earth, a lot of it goes into like this, like jewelry, right? And this is an investment for me, right? So a lot of it goes into like jewelry, and then people stockpile it. And there's these people that they call them stackers. I'm a stacker. I stack gold and silver. I've been doing it for 20 years. What you got to understand, though, is this is not this is not like just some bubble. And and trust me on this, you're gonna get panicky and you're gonna want to sell. Okay, but if they make this look like a bubble, which I think they're gonna do that, I really do. I don't trust the people in charge. I'm not talking about Trump and Putin and all this. I'm talking about the people that are really behind like the money. London, and in particular the London Rothschilds, what they've been doing for years with manipulation. They have kept the price of silver low so that they could buy it in mass quantities and hoard it up. But that is not true. That's not its true value. The true value of silver is not 45 or 46 to 1 silver to gold. I believe, and this is me personally, what I've researched and what I think is true, I think that silver is only about 4 to 6 times that of gold. Like, I think the amount.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's crazy.
I really do. And I don't think that in the future, I'm not talking about right now, because they're going to keep devaluing it as much as they can. But I'm going to tell you something. As time goes on, I may be gone on this earth, but I'm going to tell you right now, silver is going to be a lot closer to gold than it is now. And I'm telling you, like, platinum is at like what? What is platinum? I haven't looked. I'm taking a shot in the dark. 22, 23, 24. I don't know. I don't know.
Yep, 24.98.
Oh, so it went up. So 24.98. So platinum has been outpaced by gold double, almost double, right? Or it is double, over double, right?
Yeah.
Platinum, that's why you get a gold card. Back in the day, it actually meant something to be a gold member on a Visa card. And then you're like, oh, you're a platinum member, sir. Oh, you get better perks than you get from being gold. You know why? Because platinum is more rare than gold. But why is platinum worth less than half of gold?
Gold's an industrial metal?
Gold is not an industrial metal. Gold is used in small amounts as an industrial metal. It's considered a monetary metal. Silver is considered an industrial metal. 30%, I think it's like 30 to 40% of silver is actually being used. Here, somebody said something here. Maybe this person says something correct. What they said. Silver is more recoverable from ore and as such generally more plentiful produced. But what's coming on this planet in tech, silver is going to be used in basically everything. Yes, lots of it. Yes. Smart person. Cell phones, in every kind of battery, every kind of satellite, every kind of everything. And they don't recover the silver because to them, it's not worth the hassle of trying to recover it. So a lot of that just ends up going into landfills and into waste, whatever, and it's not getting recycled, right? So that's what's happening now. But in the future, all of that is going to be solar panels. There you go, solar panels. So let's put it this way: solar panel company, they build a solar panel, right? And they're selling these solar panels for $1,500, $3,000, whatever. They don't give a shit whether silver is $15 an ounce or $50 an ounce. It don't matter, because the markup on their product is so high that the amount of silver that what they're paying for silver, it's like, it's negligible right now, right? It don't matter. But what's going to happen is in the future, what you're going to see is they're going to be like, oh crap, we overplayed our hand. As silver is not, I'm telling you. And then silver is you're going to see the true value of silver. When I was buying silver at the lowest I think I ever bought silver, it was like $15 an ounce. That's how low it was. I was buying it at 15. And then I was getting silver recently, man, like not even maybe last year. I was buying it for like $22, 20 something like that. You remember? And then I think it went to like 25, and everybody was like, "Oh, it's going up a little bit." Oh, silver. What did I say silver was going to do?
Is it gonna go over 200?
I said that if possible, it could go over 200.
Mhm.
And I told Anthony this. I told everybody this. And I said, look, at least 100. I said 100 by the end of the year, maybe, maybe not. But by the end of next year, now here's what's happening in Texas in 2027: gold and silver, and I think it's gonna be platinum too. They're going to be currency. Do you know what that means? That's not. People say, well, it already kind of is. No, it ain't. Not no, because right now you have to go somewhere. Like I have a place I can sell my stuff. I can sell as much as I want. The average person can't do that, right? You can't just go. You're gonna have to go to a coin shop or a gold or silver dealer, and they're gonna buy it from you, right? Unless you know somebody who you can unload it to, and then they can sell it for you. I can do that. There's people that can do that for you, but you got to know people, right? Here's the problem: they're not buying it now because the fluctuations, right? There's a lot of them that are shutting it down, and some of these shops where people are selling their silver, I'm hearing it all the time. They don't have the money. They're out of money. They're like literally, I can't buy anymore. And then it takes 2 weeks for the people that are running the refineries and all that stuff that go where they smelt it, melt it down, the wholesalers and all that. They're backed up. So now what they're doing is they'll take your silver and then they'll tell you, we'll pay you in 2 weeks, but I got to turn it in. And then I give you a piece of paper that says that, hey, and if you take that deal, you're stupid, because then in 2 weeks, you don't know what it's going to be at that time. And then it's gone up, and then but now you're waiting on a note to pay for 110. And by the time that in 2 weeks when they pay you, it's at 140. And you're getting paid out at 110. There's people that are paying like $10 under spot right now. That's dumb. If you go to you deserve what you get. If you go to a coin dealer and you let one of these dickheads rip you off at $10 under spot for your gold or silver, I don't care even if it's gold, it's like $10. I lost $10. I would never do that. No way. I would be so mad at that person if they even tried to offer me that. If this little punk ass, I'm not even gonna say his name. I walked into this shop. You remember that?
Yeah.
He tried to tell me, I'll give you 90, or something. What it was, like the 34.90 or something like that. He tried to lowball me like $80 below spot on gold. I laughed at him. I said, man, you're stupid, man. He goes, man, get out of my shop. He's just this big lard ass with a big hook nose. He said, get out of my shop. Like, shut up, mother effer. I was like, won't you make me? Right? You can't do nothing. You're just going to sit there and just be who you are. He says, good luck trying to find somebody. I was like, I just stopped because I had it on me right then. And I figured I could save myself another 34 mile trip. I said, I could sell it right now. It'd be very easy. I just trying to do you a favor and give you some gold, but see if I could just come here and I'd have to go way down there. I'll make the 4 mile trip bucket, and it was in traffic, which sucked. But these people, they're kicking themselves now. They should have bought that gold when it was at 34.90. Right? That's what they didn't realize. And I sold a little bit of it at that time. Not like nowhere near like enough to make a difference in my stash, but it's this is what's happening here. People are trying to rip everybody off and everybody's running, and then everybody's like, it's a bubble. If it is a bubble and it bursts, listen to what I'm going to tell you. It's not real. That's not a real bubble. I think that what these people that are in charge, what they're going to do is create a false bubble. So you might see a dramatic drop where it goes down, whatever. Mm-hmm. Don't think, oh, no, that's it. Silver is done now. Don't buy it. The FOMO is done. Fear of missing out, whatever. Go and buy as much as you can. Like if that shit goes down to like 70, something like back again like that, go buy it. Go buy as much as you can. Because this is it's not a real bubble. They're trying to scare everybody with that, because what they're trying to do is lower it so that everybody will freak out and then they'll stop buying it, right? They don't want you to buy because they want to buy it. Trust me on this, man. I'm telling you, I made money doing Bitcoin. I've made money in the stock market. I told everybody that Bitcoin, didn't I tell everybody? I told everybody Bitcoin, and then I sold when it was real high. I've been doing this for a long time, man. Trust me, man. I know what I'm saying. These people that talk crap and say all this stuff. They don't know. Yeah, right now buy copper. Copper's gone. What is it a ton in copper? What is it? 13,000. So I told everybody to buy, didn't I? And if you listened to me, then you made money. If you didn't listen to me, well, then you just sat on the sidelines being scared. You listen to Wolf. I'm sort of telling you, man, and I'm telling you because you are my base. You're my friends. You're my people. You're the ones that I care about. That's why I'm telling you. I'm not even going around to other people's shows and giving them advice. Let them do what they're going to do, man. There's people that I see in other people's chats that are friends of mine, and I will never listen to Josh Turner. I won't go over there. You can put a gun in my head. They say these kind of things behind my back. And you know what I think? Don't give a shit. I don't give a damn what you do. Stay listening to their shows. I like them. They're good people, whatever, but you're the one missing out because you're not listening. You're not paying attention. And you still think Bigfoot is a monkey man running around in the woods. You keep being like that. You keep believing what you do. You do what you got to do. And I will do what I got to do with my people. And my people are going to make money. And you're going to be broke. You hold grudges too. And your grudge holding ass, you ain't going to get nothing. You ain't going to grow. What is it a ton?
13,845.
Got it memorized, brother. It was 13 something, 13.2 something when I looked last. There it is, 13,800 a ton. You go by the tons, right, with copper.
Yeah.
It was only like 11 last month. I'm telling you, man, copper, gold, silver, platinum, palladium, rhodium. This is metals, dude. I'm telling you. Now, I got to explain to you something. You're going to have to listen to what I'm going to tell you. All right? Think of this as me talking to you from the future. All right? So when you go in and you buy a stock, here's what happens. Say you invested in NVIDIA. You get this big balloon that comes up toward the beginning of it. Like, right? It hits, whoop. It's like, like a mushroom cloud. But then it kind of goes down and then it just does this. It kind of tapers off and then it levels off. You'll continue to make money, but it's kind of like a heartbeat, right? Metals don't do that. Metals do the opposite. You buy them and they're just kind of like boop, 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 and then it just goes boom. There's this big boom, and that's how you make your money. Metals, literally, precious metals do the opposite of what stocks do. Once you understand the rhythm, and it's going to sound weird, right? But I understand things like I close my eyes and I see the world a different way. Maybe I don't know. I've always wondered this. I got OCD and what do you call it? Synesthesia. I think it's mild. I've been told that I'm a synesthete. My wife's been told that too. But and look at my hair. And there again, I don't give a shit. All right. But the thing is, if you're like me, you close your eyes, you see the world in these round shapes. Like the world is different. Like, I know that's why I know that the world isn't the way they say it is. Because I can see patterns and I can adjust to them very quickly. I can memorize things. I can take pictures with my eyes of things and then close my eyes and I can see it and read it all back. A lot of people can't do that. And I'm not saying that you have to be able to do that. Right. And that comes from God. I don't know what to tell you. It's just you're born with it. When I was a kid, I thought everybody was like that. And then we started testing me when I was like in 4th grade. They were like, oh, this kid's weird. He's got, Then they figured out, okay, well, he's not like a normal person. And I'm not saying I'm a Superman. And nobody's Superman, When you start thinking you're Superman, somebody's going to knock your ass out. You're going to realize your Superman can get knocked out. Okay. I'm not that guy. I'm not that dude, man. I'm not that dude that thinks I'm going to go, oh, you know what? I'm 50 years old. I'm going to go to the UFC and beat everybody up. Man, they'll beat the shit out of me, right? You got to know your limitations, right? But your limitations are set and done by you. Because you can blame the system and the matrix and all of this other bullshit. But the truth of the matter is you can find the cheat codes to any game. I was a gamer for years. And when I wanted to beat a game, if I wanted to beat a game, I tried to do everything I could. But if the programmers stacked the deck against me, you know what I did? I found cheat codes. And it wasn't as simple as going and getting Nintendo Power Magazine. When I was younger, before that even came out, you had to go Game Pro, Game Pro?
Yeah.
They used to come out with that. No, I would find the cheat codes, and you know what I would do? I would talk to people. I would literally go to these gaming dens, and I would talk to people like, I'm trying to play this game here. I need to know, especially games like Civilization, Age of Empires, and because I like those massive online role playing games where you try to fight with armies and stuff. Think of like Warhammer, stuff like that. And you want to beat the shit out of the enemy, right? I want a leg up, but I don't want to pay a bunch of money for it, right? But information you learn as a gamer, information is power. Knowledge is power. That's where you figure it out. And that's why you'd be able to see these patterns. Like nobody had to tell me how it worked with the stocks. When I started doing it back in the early 2000s, I made a bunch of money off of, well, that doesn't sound crazy, but I made money off of Enron before they found out like, oh, whatever, because I just put money into it, right? And they were like, Enron's, they're horrible, whatever. But I got out before the bullshit hit, whatever. I made money with Halliburton. I saw the pattern. And everybody's just like, well, these companies, they're bad. They did this, they did that. They were going to be there with or without my money. It didn't make a shit. The bottom line is, if you want to make money, you got to spend money to make money. If you're in the ranching business, you got to buy cattle. You got to take care of them. You got to get them dewormed. You got to get them all the stuff. You got to get them the food, the hay. You got everything you got to do. And you got to put your blood, sweat, and tears into it. And then you turn a profit. Right? I mean, that's it. That's how it goes. It's like that with anything, right? Stop looking for this magic bullet. Stop looking for the easy, like I'm gonna make a quick score, scratch a lottery ticket. Oh, I want some money. I literally have won like $1,000 on a lottery ticket. One time. It wasn't $1,000. It was like $800 or something like that. That's the most I've won on a lottery ticket. Right? And I thought to myself, when would that happen again? I was like 30 years old when that happened. And you know how old I am now? 50. That's 20 years, man. Right? Now, I don't even look a lot different than I did when I was 30. I really don't. But I can tell you this. I'm a lot smarter because I thought, man, I could do that again. Advice on playing lottery tickets. Always buy the same one and at least 5 of them. Because look at the odds on the back. They're forced to tell you the odds. The odds will tell you 1 in 4.36, whatever. That's a simple thing. If you want to win, and it doesn't mean you're going to get your money back, but you'll win something. Odds are that you will win something if you buy 5. If you lose at that same game, say you're playing Lucky Sevens, right? And you buy 5 of them, I'm going to tell you the honest truth, and you don't hit anything, buy 5 more. I'm just telling you. And you're going to think I'm crazy, but I always do that. Anthony knows that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't always break even or whatever, but more often than not, I do make a little bit. But it's very erratic. And I'm a gambler to a degree. But is it really gambling if you know you're going to win? I mean, that's the thing. If you would have done what I said and you would have bought NVIDIA, if you would have invested in Bitcoin when I told you to, if you would have invested in all these different things, like I said, hey, this is a good idea, gold and silver. I'm not going to tell you absolutely 100% to do something unless I know that that's what's going to happen. And I did. And one of my friends, he's always teasing me. He calls me a time traveler. I said, I'm not a time traveler. I'm not a mind reader. I'm not, you may be a psychic a little bit. I have a little bit. I think everybody is to a degree. But you see the patterns. You see the patterns. And then you go and you invest in accordingly, you will win. If silver, I'm giving you this advice. I'm not telling you to go out and take your whole farm and go put it on that, right? This isn't a gamble. I'm telling you the truth. If they do short it, right, and it goes down $30, $40, go buy it. Because the earth isn't making more silver. You understand? I personally believe that it is only 4 to 6 times as much as gold. If you took all the gold that we have available to us right now, and you put it all together, do you realize that it would only fill up a tennis court about 30? I think this is gonna sound funny. I think it's about 33 feet high. That's the estimate. That's crazy. You know how big a tennis court is? It's not small, but it's not gigantic either.
No.
That's not a lot. Silver, probably 4 to 6 times that much. And that's where the problem is. They're not pulling silver out of the earth as fast as they want you to believe. So they're actually not wanting people to buy it because they want the prices to stabilize so that London can hang on to it and the Rothschilds can continue to dominate in everything financially. These old vampires. Silver, right? And here's the funny thing. Do you know that silver and gold, not only are they have an intrinsic value to us, but they're a purification metal too. In 1933, do you know what happened? Look up the gold law from 1933. What does it say? The worst president we ever had in the last 100 years. He was the worst president we ever had. And of course, the good guys are always the bad guys, and the bad guys are always the good guys.
An executive order signed by FDR.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
This order forbade the hoarding of gold coin, gold bullion, gold certificates within the United States during the Great Depression.
Mm-hmm. And they confiscated gold. You had to turn in your gold. You could face up to 10 years in prison and a $100,000 fine if you didn't turn your gold in. And then what happened in 1934 with silver? Read that one. What does it say?
Says the Silver Purchase Act 1934. Primary goal was to increase the monetary value of silver to 1/4 of the combined of the U.S. Gold and silver reserves. To achieve this, the Secretary of the Treasury was authorized to purchase silver domestically and internationally.
Okay. So they're basically that I don't know who wrote that, but I could imagine who wrote that. That's being very polite.
Mm-hmm.
It was silver confiscation, is what it was. And you were being threatened by law that if you didn't turn your silver, the same thing they did in 1933, they did in 1934. But they tried to make it, because so many people resisted the Gold Act, they tried to make it sound nicer. But it was literally a legal way for the government to grab your gold and silver. And then eventually, did you know that it was illegal to have more than an ounce of gold or silver until 1974? Look it up. People don't realize this. 1934 to 1974. That's 40 freaking years because of the Depression. And then, oh man, we're going to have a war. They knew they were going to have a war. They wanted a war. They were squeezing the shit out of Germany until Germany lashed out. That's what they wanted. They wanted that war. And then we're told fairy tales about how we're the good guys, and communist Soviet Russia is a good guy. We were good guys with them. They're the good guys too. Really? Because last I checked, they killed like 120 million people. 80 million of them we know were confirmed Christians. They rampaged across Europe and the Iron Curtain and all this other shit. I'm not saying that the Germans were the good guys, but we weren't either, and neither were the Soviets. See, that's the thing you got to stop. You got to get out of this mentality of like, we're the good guys and they're the bad guys. They're the bad guys. We're bad guys too. They're no good guys. And then you're told fairy tales about what happened. Yeah. And the people that supposedly were mistreated very badly, and now they're running everything, aren't they? Huh. That's kind of funny, isn't it? And then they took all of the gold and the silver of our great-grandparents and hoarded it themselves. Then in the 70s, Nixon's like, where is the gold? Nixon asked two questions that were big problems for the New World Order. Where is all the gold in Fort Knox? Why does the Federal Reserve have so much control as a private banking institution? Blah, 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 blah. Right? That's two parts in one, right? We're going to say two. The second one, you know what it was? Who killed Kennedy? You know why he was worried about that? Because he thought they were going to kill him. Yep. That is what's crazy. And then you start looking at all this stuff, and the more they slander and attack and abuse a public figure, the more that person is probably not the bad guy. Think about it. The more they attack that person, the more slander they put into that person, the more that is probably not your enemy. That's a crazy thing to think about. Our media is so corrupt and so evil and so satanic that anything that they push as an agenda should be vomited out of from in your ears into your brain, out of your mouth. Throw it out, spit it out. Because they lie about everything. And if you think that they're happy about what's happening right now with gold, so you're crazy. You don't get it. You're not understanding what's happening here. Most people are completely priced out of the game now with gold and silver. It's like when Amazon, it did the big boom, Walmart boom, and the stocks. And then that's it. There was no more. It just kind of, now it's just kind of like a da-da-da-da-da-da. But in order to get like one stock of Amazon, what is it, $2,600 or something like that?
That's crazy.
So you go and the party's over. Like it's so much of an investment, and all you're going to get is this little bit of a return like this. Like Coca-Cola, you can buy Coca-Cola, it'll go up, but it's like this. That's what it looks like, just a little bit, Metals are the opposite. You bought in, and for years you just sat there and held it, and then it just explodes. Boom. And people didn't want to wait. People didn't trust it. People didn't think this. They didn't think that, because they believe that this money that we're using right now is real. It's not. It's not. You could light $100 bill on fire. The only reason it's worth anything is because we agree that it's worth something. But you can't sit there with a money machine and just print cash. They say, "Oh, they're trying to get rid of cash." No, they're not, because that's how they overinflate everything. And eventually they will. They'll say, "Hey, we're going to give you these other notes, and we're going to take these notes, and it's just a shell game." And when silver drops, buy it, because eventually 30% of silver is going up to 30 to 40% of silver is being used in everyday products, to the point where we're not taking it back out. You will never see it again. It disappears. It goes into the marketplace, and then it's gone. It is gone. Finito. It does not come back. It does not come back. Gold always kind of comes back. We lose about 10, 20% at most. We're not doing that with silver. Silver is disappearing. But I guarantee you, once they'll start take initiatives to recycle the shit when it starts hitting at $1,000. Yeah. And maybe before that, because then they're going to start saying, "Whoa, wait a minute. This is not silver being overvalued. This is silver actually hitting its true value." I bought tons and tons and tons of silver, like just over the years, and people were like, why are you doing that? My friends, I kept telling them, because at some point the true value of silver is going to be recognized. We used to have boxes of the shit over at the chemical plant I worked at, and gold was only about $3.50 an ounce back then, right? And then you would strip it off of the semiconductors and then throw it in a box. We just throw it in a box in big chunks, copper, silver, gold, big chunks, right? And they would just sit there. I was always surprised nobody stole it. I mean, there's cameras, but people are dumb. They'll do shit. I knew better because there was cameras, but it's illegal. I mean, and it's immoral. And I'm not a thief. But the people I worked with, yeah, there were some really bad people there. They're like, "Yeah, I'd like to work a regular job, but, after I killed those people and went to prison, my life's a little shitty now." And the big old box of gold right there, man. Just saying. But we're at 274 now, and we've been up here. Let's get started, man. I'm just telling you what I know, right? And we could talk about it all day. And this is a paranormal show, and I know that you want to hear the stories or whatever. But I'm telling you, if you are smart, pay attention, because this is the tip of the iceberg. And what's going to happen is silver might level off. It will. It'll have a couple corrections. They're not real corrections. Just that's bullshit. And then what they're going to do is they're going to devalue it. All of a sudden, they're going to see if people will bite. And once silver plummets, then everybody's going to run out and stop buying it, right? They're going to run out and say, "Hey, is it coming back?" And everybody's going to think, "Oh, okay, well, this is how it is. This is the new normal now. Now it's just going to stay at the..." Nope, and then it's going to shoot back up. Because London doesn't have the silver, folks. When I saw that they had to borrow silver from China, I knew there was a problem. You may not understand what that means. You're borrowing money. So you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's what you're doing, because everybody was calling them back on their notes saying, hey, we want our silver. Then people don't understand how it works. But I do. And I kept telling everybody, buy gold, buy silver. I even showed silver rounds on the show. Go back to the back episodes. I have Bigfoot rounds of silver. I have Bigfoot. I have werewolves. I have all kinds of stuff, all kinds of silver rounds. Yeah. Put away in different places and safes and whatever because of this. Now, I don't think that they will try to take our gold and silver. Somebody said they're gonna issue an order or try to take our gold and silver. The only person that I think would be dumb enough to do that would be Trump, because that dude's I don't know what's going on. He needs a wellness check, all right? But he might. Would you know how much resistance there would be? Because people were getting shot at, back in the 30s and 40s. It's no, and people were still keeping gold and silver. I knew lots of people that kept it, and it was illegal until 1974. And I knew lots of people that were keeping it, and they said, I kept it all the way through the 60s and whatever. Because there will be such a backlash with social media, I don't think that they'll do it that way. But they're going to do it another way. And I'm going to explain that to you one day, but not today. Today, we're going to get into the stories now. It's been almost an hour, and here we go. So I'm hoping we got some people. We got 275, probably as good as it's going to get, for the for this late at night on a Thursday. But here's what happened. The guy that had the problem with the Bultungin, his name is Kareem, and everybody that's from the members only already knows the beginning of this. He brought something back with him. If you want to know about it, go join the members. And this is not a ploy to try to get you to go join the members. Just go join it, and I don't have time to sit here and tell you the whole thing. So he ended up with this assignment in Lebanon, and he had family in Lebanon. And part of his family were Druze, and they were from southeastern Lebanon, and part of his family were Christians. And so on his mother's side, there were Druze people. And so he went to this small village, and he did some work there for the Lebanese military government, whatever. He got hired, and he was Syrian, right? But his mother's half Lebanese. It's right next door to each other, folks. Okay, so anyways, he ends up talking to this family that was Druze. And, well, they were related to his mother. It was his mother's cousin, right? And so he asked them if he could work, stay at them while he was working for him or whatever. First of all, I want to say something real quick here. I got to give Jerry and Ella Williams a shout out. I forgot to do that. I said I would do that earlier. Let me give them a shout out here. So Jerry and Ella Williams, can we post a link to that if we have it for their Bigfoot documentary? They were, I guess, they were selling it, but they want people to see it. They want them to get the information. So they're not trying to like hoard it or whatever. So if you could just post the link to it. All right. Jerry and Ella Williams, good friends of ours. So, anyways, while we're trying to get that squared away, so here's what happens, right? So he goes to these people that in southeastern Lebanon, and he, they're related like to his mother on his mother's side, and they're Druze. And Druze people, they believe in reincarnation. They are sort of like Christian and sort of like Muslim, like kind of mushed together. That's the only way I could describe it, really. And so what ends up happening, this guy, he's like, I have an assignment, and he wanted to leave. And he didn't want to leave because he wanted to get away from his parents. He wanted to leave because he didn't want to live around his mom and dad, even though he was there helping them, because the Bultungin spirit was following him. And he believed that it was this creature. And we talked about the name of it and everything on the last show we did on the members only. Okay. So go back to the last members only and you can catch up and you'll see what we're talking about. This creature was like a little gnome. Well, I don't know, what would you call it? It was a dwarf, I guess, like a dwarf. And it was furry, but not furry. It was like it had hair. He called it furry, but it looked like hair all over its body, or hairy. And it was a small little creature, and it lived around that area of Lake Chad. But here's the weird thing too, it was a lighter skinned being. Like, it was brown skin, but it didn't have the African features. Like, it didn't look like the people of that area. It did not look like them. It just looked like a darker skinned being, right? It did have a weird droopy pointy nose and big ears. And so that was weird. It was a weird looking creature. So this little critter, you want to call it that, this thing told Kareem, he goes, I curse you. I'm going to curse you. Then he goes back because he had this sense of dread and fear. And he goes, and honestly, he goes, I wanted to kill it because it threatened me. He goes, and I know this thing was evil and it was doing magic on people and it was evil. So Kareem goes to dispatch this thing, and the thing's not there. So then he goes back to Syria, and you can go listen to the story, like I said, on the members only. He goes back home to Syria, and he's in home Syria, HOM, and he helps his mom and dad. But then weird stuff starts happening. The last straw was his dad was opening a closet where he keeps like jackets, coats, whatever, like a coat closet, I guess would be. And he's opening it up, and he gets struck in the back really hard by something that felt like a hard wood, like a cane, the way he described it, like a stick. And his dad collapses, hits his head, and his mother witnessed it. And so they took him to the hospital. Here's a crazy thing that happened to him. It got really bad for Kareem. Kareem, he's at work at that time in Syria. This is before he went to Lebanon. This is why he left. One of the reasons. The police come to his house, and they come to his work, and they said, "You're being accused of assaulting your father." And Kareem is like, "What are you talking about?" Okay, I'm working. I work. He's an iron worker, right? That's what his job that he was doing when he wasn't doing merc work, private security, whatever. And he says, how do you figure this?" And he says, "The neighbors heard screaming and yelling and whatever about an hour ago, and it turns out your dad is in the hospital." And he's like, "Yeah, my dad went to the hospital this morning. He's already back home, and there's no screaming and yelling going on. But it was reported by the neighbors, right?" But then his mother talked to the neighbors, and they were just like, "We didn't call anybody. We didn't hear anybody screaming and yelling." So one of these police officers said that he got a call on his phone, and he heard the screaming and the yelling and the arguing. And so he dispatched people to go over there. And he said, "I heard it myself." And it was from that particular domicile. Then we show up, and your dad had been in the hospital earlier. And they said that your mom and dad are lying to cover for you. You were a soldier, and you've lost your way, you've lost your mind, and you're abusing these people. So after talking to the police and convincing one of them he grew up with, he just said, "Look, dude, I don't hit my mom and dad." He goes, "And I've been kind of part-time staying at my brother's place. And my brother, they didn't go after him because he was in another city when this was happening. He was in like Damascus." And he said, "This is crazy. I can't live my life like this." And so he went to the Capitol for a little bit, and he said, "I stayed there for about 2 months. I had a job. I was working doing a security detail, and it was so damn boring that I couldn't hold on one second. God dang it." So anyway, he was at the Capitol. Now, here's a weird thing for me. I remember the capital of Damascus. I remember the capital being Damascus. Here's a weird thing. This is just a real quick, whatever. Maybe I'm totally wrong here. Aleppo. Okay, so here's what I remember. Damascus was the capital, and then one day I looked and it said that Aleppo, because it's the largest, it's the largest city, whatever. I remember Aleppo being the largest city, but not the capital. But I could have swore a few years ago that Aleppo was the capital. And I was aggravated because when I grew up, Damascus was the capital. Now, unless somebody could tell me something like maybe it changed or flip flopped or whatever, I'm really not understanding that. It's just a weird thing to me. But I remember looking and them saying that Aleppo was the capital. I'm like, no, it's Damascus. And they were like, no, it's now Aleppo. And so kind of had to deal with that, dude. You just had to put up with it, whatever. But the place where he's from, Holmes, HOMS, whatever. It's not a huge place, but it's not tiny either, And it's, let me see what it looks like. And this is another thing too. The city where he's from was called Amisa. Like it was called that before it was Holmes. And Holmes is known for being the birthplace of the Emperor Elagabalus. He was a terrible emperor, or the Emperor of Rome. So according to this, there's 1,600,000 people. So that's in the metropolitan area. So that's, I think here in Austin, there's like 2.8 or something like that in the metropolitan area or something like that. So it's not as big as this area, but it's pretty decent size. But it's not a humongous city, And I don't know what the official population of the actual town of the thing is. I think it says here in 2023. Okay, so it was 1,443,000 people. So it wasn't tiny. But he went to Aleppo, which I thought was the capital because, like I said, I always remembered it as Damascus. And then they said, no, it's now Aleppo. And now it went back to being Damascus, which is annoying to me. So make up your mind, Mandela effect, because that's what I remember. And like I said, I have a pretty strong memory, and that's really weird. So anyway, his brother at that time was in Damascus. And they said, well, your brother's in Damascus. And, so he said he went to the capital, which I thought Aleppo was capital, but it's not. But he went to Aleppo. He didn't say I went to the capital. He said he went to Aleppo, which I thought was capital. So he went to Aleppo for 2 months. During this time, his mother and his father were assaulted by something unseen at least half a dozen times over 2 months. Now, that's an average of about 3 per month. But that's one is, to me, too many times to be assaulted by something unseen or seen. I don't want to be assaulted at all. So to me, that's like really crazy. Like you don't want that. To say the least, his parents were terrified, and his sister finally went to stay with the mom and dad and her husband. But they got 2 children, even though that they wanted to see their grandchildren. That's great. But now the grandchildren are getting smacked around, and something's doing things to them. And at one point, even his wife's or his sister's husband was pushed up against a wall and held like he couldn't move. This was like a poltergeist type thing, right? You would think. But at one time, his dad was in the backyard and they had these dates, like he was out there and he was picking dates, whatever. And he saw the feet of something that looked dog-like to him anyway. He thought, what is this? This wolf-like legs or whatever. And he sees it walk behind these trees. He gets a look at the head from the side. It looks canid, and then it moves kind of hunched over, and then it kind of turns black and then see-through, and then it's gone. When he told his wife about it, his wife took photos of a baby shower, I guess like their version of a baby shower where a woman's going to have a baby or whatever. So they got together and they had this like, because they're Christian actually, so they had this like Arabic Christian like thing where they do, and the woman comes over and she wears like a shawl on her head or whatever, and so they were playing the games like the guess the gender, and they took a picture of her, the woman that was going to have the baby, and in the chair where she was sitting, the picture was like you could see, especially on the left side, more on the left side, on the right side, you could see the outline of what looked like a hyena. Like they could see this. And they were just like, what in the hell is that? Like, why? You know? And so he doesn't have a picture. It was a picture that was a picture that was taken, right? And so he said it was crazy. He goes, like, what in the hell is that? You know? So he ends up leaving. He doesn't want to be there. He says, maybe if I leave, this stuff will leave my parents alone. He goes, but the thing is, when I was in Aleppo doing my guard duty, nothing bothered me. I was staying in this little barracks, kind of like a bunkhouse with some other guys. Nothing happened. We just played cards all the time and nothing happened. He's like, and then it's all happening there at the house. So then I return home. He says, and the first night I was back, the very first night I was back, I heard voices. He said, I heard voices in my room, and then I heard like a conversation going out in the hallway. Crazy thing about it was the conversation was in French, not Arabic. And he said that he heard this the first night, the second night, and then on the third night, he was like, I have had enough of this. He's like, I stayed up. He goes, and I jumped out into the hallway 2 or 3 times to see if I could catch whoever it was. He goes, I knew it wasn't a person, but I wanted to see what this thing looked like. He goes, it didn't take long. He's like, I was coming out of the restroom. He goes, and I had water on my face. He goes, I was cleaning my face, I put in water. He's like, I just got home from work and I was tired. And he goes, and I was going to eat, and then, take a shower. He goes, and then take a shower, eat, and go for a walk like I always did. He said, I was going to go through the neighborhood with my dog. I had a dog at that time. He had a Belgian Malinois. He says, I was going to take my dog. And he goes, me and Tuck, that's his name. His dog is Tuck. But he goes, me and Tuck, we're going to go walk. He goes, and the dog's growling. I want to go down the hallway. He's like, and I come out of the restroom, I look down the hallway. He goes, and I see this thing standing there, dude. He goes, and it was like down, had its head down. And he goes, and the arms, there were arms and the hands were right there. Yeah, just like right in front of it. He goes, he could see it. He goes, there was like this spit, There's a language barrier there, but I know what he's talking about. He's like, there was this, saliva, is what he was trying to say. This coming out of his mouth. And I told Kareem, I said, what did you do? He goes, man, I nearly peed myself. He goes, my dog was growling and moving up and down. He's a very, nervous animal. He doesn't like things like that, weird. And I said, what do you think it was? He said, it was a jinn. I said, I understand that. Arabics think everything is a jinn. What do you think it was? And he says, it had to be a Bultungin. He goes, this little man, this little creature, he sicked this thing on me. And when I said little man, he didn't like that. He didn't like me calling it that. He goes, this is not a man. This was not a man. It was a little demon, a little monster, a little shaitan. He's like, that thing is an impure creature. It lives like people, but it's evil. It's like a physical jinn. And they had stories of these different types of jinn that could do these, the adharit, the ifrit, all these different types that could do different things. There was even a race of them at one time that had wolf heads. Not hyenas, but wolves. The hyena was not real prevalent in that area. It was mostly confined to Africa. People would only bring them over by way of Syria through the trade routes as pets. Did you know that? That it was very popular in Rome at one time to have a hyena as a pet. Here's the thing. The Romans had such a taste for these exotic animals that at one time there was a thriving trade bringing them out of Africa and then up into Syria and then taking the Phoenician trade routes. Because what the Syrians are, in particular, the Western Syrians and the Lebanese are what? Anybody know what they are? They're Phoenicians. The Phoenicians established extensive trade routes. And so there was a small population. Scientists have I've actually read an article about this. They believe that there was a breeding population in the Levant at one time, and it wasn't natural there. Two different times. One was at the late Pleistocene. That's not what we're talking about. Okay. We're not talking about another epoch. But then there was another one that was established during the time of the Romans because so many people had these damn things that they actually had lions and hyenas reintroduced to the Levant. And one of the rarest creatures, the North African lion, it went extinct because of the hunting of these things. The Egyptian lion and the Levantian lion became two different lineages, and of course, they were wiped out. Like they just, a lot of people lived in the Middle East. It wasn't like in North Africa where it was like, Tatooine. Maybe if you were a moisture farmer. No, in the Levant, there were a lot of people. And so you couldn't have hyenas and lions running around eating and killing everything. And so they eventually got hunted down, but they wouldn't have even been there because they had gone extinct, thousands of years ago, 9,000 years before that. But then they were reintroduced by the trade routes because gladiatory games and pets and other things, and sometimes for food. Gross. But that's what it was. And so he said that it wasn't out of the realm of possibility because I saw a photo years ago of an Israeli soldier, like they had a dead hyena, like hanging over a tank. And this was in Jordan during the 6-Day War or whatever the war was, which one it was, where they won, because, they had all the Western powers helping them, whatever. But anyway, the bottom line is they were there and they were fighting with these other lunatics. And so I guess they had a hyena there, but it was shot wild. This was not a pet. And they were across you could see the Jordan River in the background. I remember seeing that picture years ago. And the Israeli military, when they took part of the land from them, they shot one of these things. And it was big. It was big. It was massive. It was bigger than an African lion. The theory is that there was still a small remnant population there. And that every now and then people would run into these things. And you know where people would see them at? Petra. Funny thing about that is that a few people saw them, and I read this. In 1972, there were 4 tourists from the Netherlands, right, that saw these things. I'm sorry, they were Danish from Denmark. They saw these things. And they were walking on their hind legs, right? That's a weird thing, right? Because hyenas don't walk on their hind legs. So it's not unheard of to have the Bultungin there, if the story is to be believed, did they go through some kind of portal near Petra because Petra is freaking crazy? Now, I encourage you, do your own, look this up. Go and read about Petra and all the weird stuff that happens to people there. Just go on YouTube and type in like Petra, whatever. A bunch of channels, websites and stuff will pop up talking about Petra. And I had somebody tell me, oh, no, I lived over there and I worked there. Or something. He was a cook or something. Some crap. I don't know. He was playing Rangers. I don't know who he was. He told somebody, one of my listeners, that it wasn't correct what I was saying. Bull crap. Because all you got to do is go look it up. It's on YouTube. If you're watching me on YouTube, you can go watch that on YouTube and you'll see it. All kinds of stuff goes on at that place. So maybe they want to downplay the paranormal aspect of it, but it's there, and it's also very dangerous. And many people over the years have witnessed and seen things. There are people who've taken rocks and different things from that place and had terrible things happen to them. There's a ton of information about it. So you're a fool if you sit there and you say, well, that doesn't happen there because I live over there. I could say, living in close proximity to the Devil's Backbone and say, oh, nothing happens there because I live close to there. And that's still a damn lie. You do live close to there, but that's still, you saying that it doesn't happen is a lie. There are tons and tons of stories about these entities living in this area of Jordan. And like I said, in the Jewish tradition, they call them the Shadim. In the Arabic tradition, they call them the Shaitan. I mean, it's the Shatim, Shaitan, the same thing. And they are known to be very, very unruly, evil beings that do a lot of bad things. And what ends up happening with this guy? He's like, I left. I said, dude, something is going on here. And he says, I prayed. And so I went to Lebanon. I took a job there working with their government for a little bit. He says, and then I end up in this small village where the Druze live, my relatives on my mom's side. And my dad told me, he says, they're a little bit odd. They're not like us. You know, they're kind of up in the mountains. You know what I mean? Like mountain people. They have their own little villages and their own customs. And they're just kind of like, you know, I don't know. You know, backwoodsy, right? And so his dad told him this. I'm not saying that I believe this, but some of the people that he would encounter would be kind of, you know, he said, don't start liking one of their women. He said, because these communities, they intermarry with their own cousins a lot. So he goes, you need to be very careful. So if you meet some woman there, you need to be worried when you meet her cousins, because the cousins may already have designs on her. So his dad told him, he says, you need to be real careful going over to this, you know, other land. And he says, okay. And he had been there once when he was young, for like a wedding when he was a kid. He was like 16. He goes, and I just kept to myself. He says, so I get there. He goes, and I meet a bunch of really cool people. Like they had a big feast and a big thing. They were dancing, hanging out, having a good time. He's like, and I enjoyed it. It was awesome. And he said, and we ended up, I didn't have any problems with them. He goes, there was nothing. I took my dad's advice, kind of stayed to myself. And eventually one of the men there introduced me to Shala, which was a young girl that was, you know, not a young kid. She was 18, but she was, you know, she was pretty. He goes, and at that time, he goes, I wasn't that old. You know, I was like, you know, 28, whatever. So there was a 10-year whatever, but he goes, but she was very pretty. He's like, but then I met her sister. Her sister had been promised to another guy, and that dude, it turned out that he didn't like women. So he was really mean to her, and then she found out that he was playing for another team, let's put it that way. And she was like, nah, I'm good. But because the marriage had fallen apart, she was considered to be like unclean or disgraced or whatever. And he was like, I talked to her all the time. He goes, but I liked her. And her name was Shara. And he says, so me and Shara, we end up, you know, I liked her. And she's like, but my dad's, you know, he's not going to offer anything if you go with me instead of Shala. Shala was like 18, 19, something like that. And he said that he's like, yeah, but you're closer to my age. You're 24. You know, we're a few years apart or whatever it was. And he said, and I, I like you. I want to run off with you. So they did. They ran off. But before this happened, when they were in Lebanon, he says, I got to, well, let me back up. The first night that they were together in that way, which was very dangerous because they're not supposed to, in the Middle East, they don't play around like that, right? This dude, though, he's a soldier. He's going to do what he's going to do. You know what I mean? And so, you know, in the West, it's just like, it's nothing. It's like, this is hookup culture, right? It happens there too, but you don't talk about it and you better not get caught because, you know, they might chop something off of you and they might just talk about your hand. And so I'm just being honest, right? So anyway, he goes, me and her were together. He's like, and that night we went to sleep. He goes, and I slept soundly. The next morning I wake up. He's like, and she's waking me up. And she's like, first, she goes, two things. She's like, you need to get the hell out of my room before my parents find out because it's 4 or 5 in the morning. She goes, the second of all, she goes, you have a jinn following you. And he's like, okay, let's start with number one. Let me get my pants on and get the hell out of here before I get stoned. and not in a good way. And so he goes, okay, fine. Later that day, they eat the breakfast, whatever, and then afterwards, he goes, we're outside, and he goes, and he goes, we had like this naan bread and eggs. It's kind of like they're whatever, and so he goes, we're eating these little fish, whatever, and he's like, and then he's like, I feel sick to my stomach. And I thought, man, maybe I'm not, something I ate, whatever. She comes to him and she says, no, there was something going on while you were asleep. She goes, you kept convulsing, like not her words, but like, like you were grabbing your stomach, something was wrong. She said, and then you vomited. She's like, and I turned the light on thinking, I don't know what the hell's wrong with this guy. And she goes, and you stayed asleep. You just went right back to sleep. So I was, obliged to clean it up. She goes, but it was weird. She goes, what was in your stomach looked like rocks. And he was like, what in the hell? She goes, it was so weird. She goes, it was so weird. They were like these little pieces of shards of rock or whatever. She goes, and so I took these little pieces of shards of rock. They were all red. And she's like, I thought it was blood, but it wasn't. It was hard. Like I could feel it. She goes, and what did you eat that was, but he goes, I haven't eaten anything hard like that. No, I don't even eat hard candy. He's like, I don't like sugar, A lot of people in that area, they're not real sugar eaters. They'll eat a little bit of sugar, that's it. But she said she took them and she put them in a towel and put them on her dresser, on her nightstand, whatever. She said she goes back to show him what it was and what it looked like. And there was one diamond like looking thing, like red there. Yeah. Very weird. A very weird thing. Just like a ruby. Like there was just a ruby there. And he was like confused. He was like, what in the hell? And you remember, this is a weird thing. Do you remember when we were talking about the tiger's eye?
Yeah, I was gonna say that this sounds familiar.
Yeah, because we were talking about that, and that happened in the Middle East too. But it was like, I forgot the name of the country.
You said it's in the Middle East?
Yeah, it was in the Middle East.
Yeah.
It was in Jordan, in Ammon.
Yeah.
So in Ammon, Jordan, right? And it was the embassy, right? You remember that? That's a weird thing. I'm not saying this has anything to do with that, but I thought about that whenever he told me this. He goes, it was a little like red stone, and she's like, I swear to you, it was all in little pieces. This little red stone, and he's like, what do you think it means? And she goes, I don't know. She's like, but I need to take it to one of our elders and let them, there's people that can maybe decipher this or tell us what's going on. Then he was afraid. He's like, what are you going to tell them? That I was in your bed and I threw up in the middle of the night and I don't remember it and whatever. She said, and he said, and also, why did you say that there was something stalking me? He already knew. And he was really saddened and sickened that this thing was still following him. And she told him, she goes, because after you did that, when I was going to clean it up, I was down on my hands and knees. She's like, and all it was just like that mixed with spit. Like it's like you would just spit it out, I look up and there's this creature and it's looking at me through the mirror. She's like, but it wasn't a reflection of anything. She goes, it was in the mirror. He asked her the description of it. She says, I didn't get a good look at it. It was all dark with yellow eyes. She's like, and then the eyes were turning yellow, orange, and then red. And she goes, and then this thing literally started to crawl out of the mirror. I only saw the upper body of it. She goes, but it was black and then it was turning brown. The vague description of what she gave him made him think that it was this creature that had been stalking him, this same entity. And so then he thought, okay, I think I know what's going on here. And one of the weird things about this whole deal was one of his friends, when he was at the facility in Chad, had found this really big, what they would call like a blood diamond, right? When he was working at another place in Botswana. Now, here's the weird thing. We did a show. We haven't released it yet, and it's about Botswana. So this guy, he was working there, and so I've talked to a bunch of different people from these regions. One of them said that this is a real thing. They'll find these diamonds, and people will swallow them, right? And then later on, expurgate it. But he said this guy had one of these diamonds, and he had come to Chad, and he had it in his pocket. And he told me, he says, "Where did you get that?" He said, "When I was working in the diamond mines in Botswana. It's got a reddish tint, but it's still considered a diamond. It's not a ruby." And then he said that it's that kind of diamond is very rare, and he says I keep it with me everywhere because when I go back home, I'm going to sell it. I'm going to leave, and then I'm going to sell it. I'm going to go back home. But he said that he had to keep it with him because if he tried to put it somewhere where he was from, then it would get taken. And then he goes, "I promise you, this is the truth." This is what Kareem said. Kareem says, "I promise you, this is the truth." He's like, "I never saw that again. I never saw that gem again. That was the guy though that took me to see this dwarf." He's like, and I'm not joking. He's like, my mind had been wiped or something. I don't know. He goes, "I can't tell you how or why." He's like, "But I remember that little dwarf creature. Now that when we started talking about it and I saw it, he's like, all day and all night, I kept thinking about this. Where did this come from?" He goes, "And I remember when my friend had it in his pocket, this little dwarf-like creature went up to him and started grabbing on his BDUs and pulling on it because he knew that gem was in his pocket. And this creature was asking him, can have like that, like he wanted it, saying it like in French and like his French was bad. He was just, this is the way they could all communicate. But this creature kept asking him in French if he could have it, and he says, "No, I'm not giving that to you." And so then this dude got real mad, started threatening them. And then when they were leaving, he threatened and he cursed Kareem. The next day, he calls up there to the facility. And he talks to this mutual friend of theirs they had that was Portuguese. And the guy tells him, he says, "Oh, you're talking about Amani." He says, "He died." He's like, "We don't know how, but we found him near the lake at the foot of one of the they have like these generators where they have like whatever they run." He said he was down there working. When the workers turned around, he was on the ground and he was deceased. And the weird thing is, like his legs and his stomach looked like they had been scratched up, like he'd been attacked by something, like cat scratches. And he was just bleeding to death. And it must have happened very quickly. But where they're at by the dam, there's all this water, that flows, so that's loud. And they didn't hear him get attacked, but they turned around and he was just deceased. It was such a weird thing. They told him, they said, "Amani's gone." And so he thought, man, this guy dies. And then the next day, or maybe that day, he's like, "I throw up this and now here is this diamond." And he said, he goes, "Me and this guy were very good friends. We were very close." He's like, "And when I left him the money that I had because I didn't have time when I left." He's like, "I didn't have time to go and exchange it or whatever. So I just gave him the money I had from there." It was about $280. He said it wasn't, and the guy said, "I'll pay you back if it's the last thing I do. I'll pay you back. Don't worry." Well, I guess he did. What killed him and how he died is a mystery, but it's very weird. But you would be shocked if I told you that this happens in Africa all the time. The prevailing theme is that, theory is that it's just people going around murdering each other and then blaming it on something supernatural. Yes, that does happen, but that is a very ignorant, and I'm not one of these liberals. It's like, oh, colonialism or whatever. But it is a very colonialist, imperialist way to be like, these people are savages and anything they think is just absolutely poppycock. And they believe in giant spiders the size of a man and that they can turn themselves into all kinds of creatures. And that if a witch doctor bewitches you, you could become a yam. Maybe not. I know this, what a guy told me, personally, that a guy told him, "I'll pay you back," and then he dies somehow, gets ripped up, attacked by his waist in particular, and was eviscerated by something that these workers didn't even hear because they were busy working on whatever the generator, whatever it was. Turn around, and the guy is unalived. The next day or that night, he throws up, and this girl, Shara, takes the pieces and just lays them into a shawl, puts them on her in front of the mirror where she saw the creature, which is interesting too. Because you remember the little dwarf-like being, it wanted what was in Amani's pocket, right? I mean, if the shoe fits, right, you wear it. Unless it's really uncomfortable, get you some insoles. I don't want you to hurt yourself. But the thing is, you can see where this is going, right? And it was pretty funny. Kareem's one of those funny. He's a funny guy. Like he makes jokes, and then he waits for you to laugh, and then he kind of laughs with you in this weird, deep, growling voice. And then you just kind of laugh because you don't want to make him mad. You're just like, I don't want to make this guy mad. I mean, we're on the phone. It's not like he's gonna, but I want him to tell me the story. So some of his jokes were, and he said he goes, this woman's dead. He's like, he was always yelling at the cat, always. But he's like, I think it was just a way for him to get on to us. We talked about that the other day.
Yeah.
Like people that do that, that's what made me think about that. Because, you go to somebody's house and they'll be like, Cooper, get away from him. Leave him alone, Cooper. Okay? Cooper, he hates dogs, man. Okay? He don't like you, Cooper. He doesn't want you touching him. He's a weird guy. Okay? He hates you.
I know you see him for what he is, Cooper, but you have to calm down.
You'll go to somebody's house and they'll do stuff like that. I'm not even joking. They will they'll tell you things through their yelling of they'll get onto the animal, but they're really pissed off at you and they're talking trash to you. They're like, come on, Cooper. Okay? Go to your kennel. This guy doesn't like dogs. He doesn't want you jumped on, and your little bit of hair that'll get on him will inconvenience him and ruin his day, and he'll be bitching about it. Go to your kennel. Go now. Stop disobeying. Okay? Yes, I know you're not happy. You do not like this guy. Okay? And yes, this guy did cheat on my sister and probably doesn't deserve to be in my house, but that's not up for debate. Cooper, go to your kennel.
He's a heathen, Cooper. He's a Muslim. He doesn't like dogs. Go away.
You are haram to him.
Yeah.
And you're lucky he doesn't eat you, because they'll eat you too, Cooper. Cooper, go to your kennel. People do that. They do. They'll be passive aggressive as hell. You like literally, you go to their house. I had a friend that would do that with his lizard. He would sit there and talk to his lizard, and he's really talking about you. Like, yeah, they're so small and puny. I can break your neck. It made me sick wearing that green. I'm like looking at my shirt. What the fuck is he talking? He talking to me? Yeah, I'm talking to my lizard. It's cool. Yeah, he's over here just trying to borrow money. Like, I'm not here to borrow money. I was talking to my lizard. Okay. Now I know you're talking to me. You just called the lizard Wolf. I just changed his name. He didn't like being called Joffrey after Game of Thrones. That name went out of popularity. Okay. Point being, though, he said this guy would talk to his cat. He would say things like little swipes at him, like, oh no, don't walk on the Quran. Don't do that. Because he's a cat. He won't walk on the Quran. Don't be like him. Don't be like Kareem. But not like just not in that way, but just like, Kareem could walk on the Quran, but not you. You won't do it. Okay, be a good cat. And he would just be like, go to Shara and be in her room, right? Okay, because you can go to her room and be in there. You know what I'm saying? Like he would say something, and he'd be over there going like, okay, old man, you're being very passive aggressive, and you're basically communicating me through the discipline of the cat. You're running your mouth at me. And he said one day, he goes, this is true. He goes, I'm not even joking. He goes, it was weird. He goes, her dad. And out of respect for him, I said, I'm not going to say the dad's name because he doesn't want me to say it. I said, okay, fine. I'm not going to say it. But he said her dad was like talking like that, doing that passive aggressive, like he's scolding the cat, but he's using what he's saying to the cat to insult me. right? And then he says, he looks up at me and he goes, "Isn't that right?" And the voice, he said, was like demonic.
Oh,
He goes, and his eyes were white, completely white. And Kareem says, he goes, "No, no bullshit." He goes, "I am not a scared guy. I'm not like that." Right? He's like, and so the next day we all went on a trip to the coast. He goes, and now being a soldier, he's like, and I got along with a couple of the other guys there in the village, and we were all pretty tough guys. There was another Syrian there that I was good friends with, and that we were all kind of like whatever. And he said that we all went on this trip to the beach, and then there was this place in the little village where they were at, where they could take you and you go diving into the water, snorkeling. Beautiful, beautiful. The beaches is an awesome place. He's like, so we went. He's like, and I'm telling you, he goes, I jumped off of this boat. It was like a yacht, right? It was like a big yacht, but it was really pretty. And the water was pretty. He goes, and I had some money. I'd made quite a bit of money, working as a private sector security. And he says, and I jump into the water, and he's like, and I look around and I see the largest shark I'd ever seen in my life, and it was only about 20 feet from me. But yeah, he says it was about 12 meters, and it was 20 some feet, right? And he says, I look at this thing. He goes, and I see the teeth, these triangle teeth. He's like, it's a great white shark. He's like, and this thing went toward me and then veered off. He goes, because I moved really quick, and I think my movement kind of freaked it out. He goes, but I'm not going to give this thing a chance to turn and try to rebound and figure out where, he said, because typically I know that these things are ambush predators. They'll come up from underneath you. And he goes, man, I swam back to the ladder real quick. I got up out of there and I told everybody, hey, there's a shark down there. And he said that when that happened, he goes, the one thing I took away from that, and I remember, thank you for that donation. We appreciate it. And he said that the one thing I took away from it, I remember, he says, was those weird triangular teeth. I had seen pictures and things like that. I had never seen one like that. When I jumped in that water, he's like, I had did the first and only time I'd ever been in the water that I know of, that I'd been in that close proximity to a shark of that size. I said, how big was he? He said 15 to 17 feet. He gave me meters, but I did the math. It was about 15, 17 feet. Crazy, dude. It was humongous, big shark. He goes, and his mouth was open. He goes, and you could see the triangular teeth. He said, this Bultungin thing had shark teeth. He's like, it clicked in my head. I was like, he's like, the teeth, like canine, kind of like, right? But in between these fangs that were a little more conical, the way he described them, there were these little jaggedy shark teeth. And then there were shark teeth all around, like this what it had. He said, and then I realized, like, that little creature that I saw near Lake Chad, he goes, that thing had these little shark teeth. These weird little, but they looked serrated, like the way that the little dude's teeth were when he would smile. He goes, he had these little small, serrated teeth. And then he's kind of funny. Like, we started joking, and I said, well, tell me again what it looked like. He goes, the show, The Mandalorian? I said, yeah. He goes, like that little guy, like him, but with big teeth. I said, Kareem, he goes, no, I play games. No, why I'd be scared of that dude, man, for real. He goes, man, you kick it, whatever. He's like, I was only scared this thing is demonic, the ugly teeth. Like a shark's teeth. He goes, and the eyes, black like a shark, like these eyes, these dots. And then the way that this thing moved, he goes, it was shark-like. He goes, I could tell you that. It kind of goes in time with what we've talked about, how predators are all kind of related. They do what they do. But it's weird because this guy, when he was telling me this story, he goes, man, I got back on that boat. He goes, and then when we got back, I told Char, I said, let's go. He goes, I want to marry you. I'm going to tell your dad. I'm not going to ask. I'm just going to tell him. And so she tried to call him that night and tell him, hey, he forbid it. He said, no. He said, you know, he goes, we're going to find you a guy that'll take you, man, that'll take you, whatever. After what happened with her marriage, it wasn't going to happen, right? But he wanted her to marry somebody close by because, you know, their religion and all that. And he said, look, old man, I convert. I'll be a whatever, or Ruth. And he tells him, no, you can't do that. You got to be born into this. And I said, didn't you know that? He goes, yeah, but I was trying just to do whatever I could to make it happen. He's like, unfortunately, it didn't. He goes, and so we just never went back. Well, he goes, we did, but it was a long time. And I just told her, I said, you go with me, we go. If we go back, no telling what's going to happen to me or you. So the guys that they were with, her brother and the cousin, he goes, I paid them off. I said, take this back to your dad. You have a choice. You can take the money and leave me and Char alone, or I can give you this. He goes, and I raised up a gun. I said, it's up to you. I'll do whatever. And they were like, no, you don't got to do all that. We'll take the money. He said they were very quick to just say, hey, you know, we don't need trouble. And he goes, I gave him a good chunk of money, and they left. He goes, I worked near Beirut for about another month, and I just kept her kind of hidden, you know. He goes, and I made some more money, and then that was it. He goes, but when I was leaving Beirut, the night that we were supposed to leave Beirut, he's like, that was the worst night ever with this creature. He's like, we were staying in this, like, really crappy hotel. He goes, and, you know, back in the day, and I know this, that Beirut was a beautiful city before it was bombed the shit out of over and over again by Israel. And he said that, you know, it was a beautiful place. They used to call it the Pearl of the East. Jet setters, everybody would go there. People would vacation there. A lot of people from Iran would go on vacation there because people from Iran had money back then before the Ayatollah took over, when the Shah was in power, before the lunatic, crazy people took over. Because you had two sets of lunatics down there. One to the south of Lebanon, and, you know. But these people, they had something going. It was very westernized, very modernized, very beautiful. And the beaches were very beautiful. And they had all these resorts and hotels, and too much money being made there. They couldn't have that. No, you had to blow it all to hell and then create a whole nother new group of terrorists. That's what they did. But que sera, sera, right? So what happens? He's like, I'm coming back from the ice machine. And something knocks the ice out of my hand. He goes, and I look down and I see a shadow going underneath me. He's like, and this is in a hallway. He's like, and get this, it looked like a shark. He goes, can you imagine that? Seeing the shadow of a shark, like swimming underneath you? Even I've never heard of anything like that. Like, I've heard of shadows of other, but not a shark. Not a shark on land inside of a hotel. That was a new one for me. And he said that this thing grabbed me by my legs. He goes, and next thing you know, he goes, I fell down onto the, this is freaky. He said, I fell down onto the carpet in that hallway, which wasn't very clean, you know. And he said, and my first thought was like, oh no, I'm being attacked. He goes, then as I'm rolling around trying to get my footing, he goes, I'm thinking, I'm gonna need a tetanus shot. He goes, it's so dirty. I think I need to go get shot after this, get the shot. And I said, a tetanus. He goes, yeah, it's so nasty. He goes, I get that rug burn on my arm. He's like, and it was a shadow, and it was pulling me down. Hang on one second. And so he says, it was pulling me down. He goes, and for a minute, I couldn't breathe. I felt, and get this, this part right here really intrigued me. Like, this part right here really stuck with me above all the other things he said. The getting attacked by this thing was just the beginning. He said he went down into the rug, and he was covered in what he thought was like black water, but it was real thick like goo, and he couldn't breathe. When he tried to breathe in, he goes, this black, get this black mud, as he called it. But like I said, language. It's like a sludge, right? Or like a goo. And so he breathed in something. He goes, I don't know what it was. And I told him, I said, that's happened to me. I know what that is. And so I'm telling him, I'm agreeing. And he goes, really? And I said, yeah. When you're dealing with very potent evil magic that's being cast on you, that stuff it's around. You should listen to Abe Sears' story about what happened to him. It was all over his bathroom and the wall, the hallway. It's weird. It's crazy. So when someone is casting on you, you'll sometimes run into this goo. It's like the black version of like ectoplasm. I'm not kidding. Because the jinn are made of smokeless flame. Now, my theory on this, right? My theory is that the jinn being made of smokeless flame lends itself to that's what the ectoplasm is, because this could be plasma like beings. That could be their true form. Their true state of being could be a plasmic state. Now, I'm not saying that's 100% correct, but it makes more sense than a lot of the other cockamamie stuff I've been told. And there's a lot to it, like we don't really understand our place in this universe. If you looked at the earth in the way that this could be the body of a slain corpse, then you start to go, wow. That's why there's so much nutrients. That's why you can grow things. That's why so much lives here. Because when something dies, it becomes a habitation and living quarters for other beings. It may not sound pretty, but it's the truth. So he says, I go down just below the like into the carpet, but I'm like in this blackness. I can't see anything, but I'm like in the water, and I'm thinking, how the hell did I just fall into the ground, the floor, on the third floor of a hotel in Beirut, and now I'm covered in black water. He goes, and then when I tried to push, there was he goes, you could feel it would give, but it wasn't releasing me. And I thought, I'm going to drown. How in the hell did I fall into nothingness and now I'm drowning? He's like, and then this hand comes and lifts me up, and I look up, and it's my future wife. She's there pulling me up, and she's like, honey, are you okay? And he's like, no, I'm not. And he starts looking around, grabbing himself. He's like, I'm not wet. I'm not full of goo and whatever the hell that was. But something tried to take me down. He goes, and then when I get up, he goes, something is grabbing me on my back. I could feel something pulling me on my back. And then he goes, and then I look down, and there's just blood all over the carpet, and my back is just bleeding, dripping blood. He's like, and when I turn around, there's this thing laying there. He goes, and it's laying there, and it's got its arms up like this. And he goes, and it looks like a hyena, like a creature, just like a hyena laying there with a man's arms. He goes, and I'm freaking out. He goes, and then he's like, I fall, again, I start to fall. He's like, and then I wake up. I'm on the floor in the hotel in the hallway. There's no Bultungin there. There's no shark. There's nothing. He's like, and I'm holding the ice bucket. He goes, and I lift it up, and there's nothing in the ice bucket. I hadn't even gotten the ice. He's like, so what I figured out was that I had passed out in the hallway going to get the ice. He's like, and he goes, I'm sitting there going what is wrong with me? He goes, and then I thought maybe something wrong neurologically. That's what he was saying, something wrong with his brain, right? He didn't say neurologic, that's my words, but that's what he was getting at. And he says, so I run back down the hall, and I start trying to open the door, and I'm so freaked out I can barely get the key in, and then I get into the room, and laying there on the bed is my girlfriend, soon to be wife, who would become the mother of my children. He's like, and I walk in and I wake her up, and I'm like, Shara, something crazy just happened to me, and I collapsed, and I think I need to go to the hospital, maybe get checked. I don't feel good. the place that he was working for had access to doctors and things like that. So they would hook him up. Hey, you take you to the doctor. So she says, I had a dream. And in this dream, she goes, I thought it was real. She goes, I heard you like screaming and yelling, and I heard banging on the door. She's like, I opened the door, and there was this older woman standing there, and she was just like pointing like this. She's like, and her face had no expression. It was just like, and she was pointing, and she goes, and I look, and I see you wrestling around with this black stuff. I don't know what it is. And you're on the floor, and I run over there, and I put my hand out to get you because you wouldn't stop rolling around. So finally I yelled your name. She's like, you look up at me, and I'm like, Kareem. And then I lifted you up, and then you were on your feet again. And then I was back in the hotel room, and you're waking me up. So then he asks her, he says, what did this woman look like? There was this woman. He said, because later on they went to go eat something. And he says, and I went and I saw the physician for the company that I was working for. They had me go see a doctor, and the doctor saw me. He goes and then checked me out and said, maybe you just got overheated. It's really hot right now. Maybe you're just not doing good, whatever. There's some weird stuff happening. Different people have reported illnesses and things like that. And he says, I didn't believe it, but I was inclined to just go, okay. They looked at my head. Everything was fine. Right. And he told me, he says, I don't know what was going on. He's like, but I knew that I was under a spiritual attack, not a physical. It was manifesting as a physical. That was not his words, but he said it was coming out as a physical. And one of the things I remember when we talked, he said that when he was a young guy and going through all of this mess, he says, I, from day to day, would go to work not knowing whether I was going to come home, whether to be dead or alive. Is some fool going to throw a bomb or shoot somebody or do something? These security details were dangerous in the Middle East. There was all kinds of crap that could happen at any time. Terrorism from these different groups, to attack these different politicians, the different people that he was dealing with. And he's like, the different places that, just the average person, when you're guarding some of these places in those third world countries, he goes, they'll steal anything. And if it takes stealing your life to get whatever object it is that they want to go sell, I mean, he said, dude, when I was overseas, he goes, he's in America now, but he said, when I was overseas, he goes, there was a guy came up to me, pointed the gun right at me, dude. He goes, and I was sitting there holding the gun. I didn't even have my finger on that trigger. And that dude, he goes, he was a young kid, probably like 16, 17, whatever. He pointed it right at me. And he says, don't put your finger on that trigger. Don't move. Don't do anything. And he goes, and all I had was a little necklace I had stuck down in my jacket. It wasn't a flag jacket. It was a bulletproof vest. And he said, dude, I just pulled it out from behind the trauma plate, and I just said, here, take it. I don't, you need it more than me if you want that, right? And the kid was just nervous looking around. When somebody comes up to you and just, if you're in the streets of Beirut or Aleppo or wherever the hell you're at, or in Chad, I mean, these places are not good places. This is the kind of stuff that these private security guys go through. I know a ton of them, and they go through a lot of weird shit. I mean, when somebody comes up and tells you, give me your money or give me your life, you better empty your pockets because you don't live twice. Then you tell them, technically, that's not correct. I will not live again as this person, but I will come back, possibly, if I don't transcend. I would not suggest doing that. If they're doing this, that's the international sign for coke and meth. You probably want to just give them whatever you got. I would do this and be like, you can have my credit cards, but they're all maxed out. I can tell you that right now, 100%. You can have them. Can I keep my ID, please? Just I don't like the whole give you my wallet thing. You could do this. Just be like, look, I'm just going to grab it, right? I'm not pull the wallet out, take out the ID, take out, for me, the guard card is I need that too. I need my IDs. I got my IDs. Can't have this. It's a bank card. I can't, that one you can't have. Okay. I don't have to change the numbers and all that. You can have the credit cards. There's about $10 on that one. And then there is a gift card there to Arby's. I don't really eat there, so you can definitely have the $12. It's on there. It's too salty for me. Try to negotiate, right? I'm kidding. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. I'm joking. Don't do that. Don't start picking and choosing what you're going to give them. Just see if you can keep your ID, because without that, you're going to have hell trying to get all your other stuff back. A friend of mine got robbed in New Orleans, and he literally did that. He's just like, look, let me just keep my ID. You can take everything else. And the dude just went through and took a bunch of the stuff in the wallet and threw the wallet on the ground. So that was, whatever. So, yeah. It says effective negotiation 101. Right? Because you got certain cards, they're maxed out. Just be honest. You're an American, right? And then there's certain cards that you don't want them to have, but you could always run and go and get them turned off, right? And also, I just be like, look, dude, I don't keep cash in my wallet. You know what I do though? I keep an 8 in my wallet. I have a St. Michael. That's to protect me from people like you. So hopefully it doesn't happen. And then if you go like this, look, but I got this cat right here. Ah, you didn't see that coming, did you? Huh? Suck a bitch. Right?
Works every time.
Works every time. I wouldn't call him the sucker, B word. That's bad. You shouldn't say that. That's not a good thing. Don't do that.
That's a good way to learn about the afterlife, though, pretty quickly.
You will probably learn some things
Yeah.
at that point, but most people aren't as quick as me.
You'll have an outer body experience, like pretty much guaranteed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Give me your money. Oh, give me your life. You better empty your pockets because you don't live twice. Right? You know that song? You want to get high as the sky? Yeah. So, it's a good song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The winners lose it all someday. That's a good one. I like that song. You should check it out. He wants to borrow some money from me. Do you think I'm blind? Don't know the score, can't see. I would lend you the money, but I know who you're going to vote for. And it's not going to help us. Okay? But you don't have to tell them that directly. Just talk to your cat and be like, Martis, get off of his lap. Okay? He hates animals. He voted for these other people that are just out. Dude, there's no telling what he might do. If his discernment is that bad and he voted for her, he could hurt you, Martis. Martis, get off of his lap. Just leave him alone. Like, you don't know who I voted for. Yes, I do.
You know these Democrats hate animals, Martis.
I see the sign in your yard, sir. We worship science, and we don't. God's right out. I know who you voted for. Stop. Collaborate and listen.
I see Charles Dawkins right there on your bookshelf, dude. I'm not stupid.
Charles Dawkins.
What was his name? Richard Dawkins. Richard Dawkins.
Richard Hawkins.
Hawkins.
Hawkins. Yeah.
No.
You're talking about.
Yeah, Richard. No.
Yeah, you're talking about Hawkins. Stephen Hawkins.
No.
Nutshell Universe.
No, he's that pseudo-intellectual, pretentious dude. He wrote this huge book called The God Delusion.
Oh,
Richard something.
I thought now you got me going.
I thought it was actually Dawkins, but no.
What is his name? Look it up.
Yeah, Richard Dawkins.
Look it up to make sure. Richard Dawkins, Stephen Hawkins, same thing. They're all gonna say the same thing. God is well, Hawkins he'll go, God is not real. Like, dude, that's what he's gonna do. Whatever.
Yeah, Richard Dawkins.
Look up Velikov. He's the one that wrote the book Worlds in Collision. Look up Worlds in Collision. That is a book you should read. Richard Dawkins, The Atheist, yes. And you have Darwin. First, I thought you were talking about.
Nah.
What's his name? Darwin.
Charles Darwin.
Charles Darwin. So anyways, that is what happened to him in Lebanon. And he said the next day, he goes, I was on a plane. He goes, and I got the heck out of Dodge. He goes, I went back to home, Syria. He's like, and then, yes, and Dick Richard says, yes, read Velikovsky. Yeah, we've talked about him. And so look up the book. Is it still in circulation? Because that's a good book. We were talking about it I think on Monday.
Yeah, you can buy it on Amazon.
You can buy it on Amazon.
Mm-hmm. Emmanuel Velikovsky, yeah.
Another one is good is Etta Dorpa. That's a good one. Yeah, I Am the Man. But anyways, so he goes, I was back home in Syria and we were there for about 2 more months. He goes, and then I got my chance to move to the United States and I took it. And that will be what we talk about on Saturday because this wasn't over. This was just what happened to him in Lebanon. This thing was not going to give up, and it was an attachment from hell, literally, evil, bad thing that went on. And then when he came to the United States, he had to deal with it some more. You'd like to hope that, your life is never going to be dependent on, just a series of choices. And so I encourage everybody to go and to accept Christ as your Lord and Savior. People don't want to hear that. They don't like it. They don't like it when you say, they're like, ooh, brother, ooh. I like doing bad things. We like bad. We like pride and greed and lust. And we like all these, 7 deadly sins. Right? Isn't that what everybody's into?
Yeah.
Pride, greed, lust, envy, sloth. And everybody wants to be just leave me alone. Don't tell me this, brother. Tell me other things. Not that. But if you want to avoid what happened with this guy, and now he himself told me something. He goes, when I was on the plane going to the United States, he goes, I began to actually seriously reevaluate my life and think, how much could have been prevented if I was less soldier for myself, soldier of fortune, basically. He didn't say that, but that's what it was. And more of a soldier for God. He did say that. He said less soldier for the world is what he was saying. And then more soldier for God. So that was what needed to happen. Right? So that's where we're going to leave it. That's where we're going to go. But since you were so nice and such a good audience and you're willing to be here and listen to us talk and crack wise and tell jokes and whatever, we're going to do a giveaway tonight, right? We're going to do some giveaways. So let's, me and Anthony will each award a hoodie, right? And all of next month, we're going to try to do giveaways at least 3 times a week, okay? Sunday and Wednesday and probably Monday will be the main days we're going to do the hoodie giveaways. But if we do a live on Saturday, we'll try to do one then too, because we're going to give most of the hoodies away in February. We still have a ton of them. So we have a lot of hoodies to give away. So who wants a hoodie? Who wants to be warm? So let's start with people who haven't won. And if you don't answer quick enough, then I'm going to go to the people who have won and start giving it to them. Matt Stoyanov says, I'll take a hoodie if I'm eligible. You're eligible. Everybody's eligible. But let's see who's won and who hasn't. Who's Brandon? Can Brandon win a hoodie? Is that the guy that Biden was yelling for? I want to pick the guy who's Captain Brandon Booty Bandit. He was a cool guy. I met him at Epstein's party. So Tangent Wonderland says, I haven't won yet. And Tangent, you know what? You've been giving donations tonight. You've been helping out. So we only had 6 donations, and 3 of them were from you. I guess I'm not Tony on his birthday, so I guess I'm not good enough to get any donations. I if it was my birthday, you'd give them to me. Actually, when my birthday came, when nobody gave me shit. How about that? How about today? Y'all's donations go for my birthday back in July, where y'all didn't give me shit. How about that?
Retroactive birthday gifts.
That's ridiculous.
We call those big boy birthdays when they come and go with no fanfare.
Yeah. Tony says, it's my birthday. My birthday. Is Tony even in the chat? I don't even think he's even here.
Yeah, he popped in.
See how little he cares? I got mines. He don't care. Bye. Yeah. Thank you, Matt. At least Matt cares about me. Matt's over here giving some money here.
I thought we picked you for a giveaway recently, Matt.
Yeah, I thought you won
I could
something.
I could have sworn we picked you to win something.
Okay, so Bang Gandhi. Is this even a real person, dude? I haven't received any Patreon stuff yet. What do I have to do? Let me guess. You've been a Patreon for 1,000 years and nobody sent you anything. Okay, because we just sent off like a week ago, like 30 Patreon things.
Yeah.
So trolling, pretending to be somebody that didn't get their stuff is bullshit. All right, we've already figured out a few of those little tricks, and no telling who you are because there's so many jealous ass content creators out there that hate us. So 6 months, okay, Bang Gandhi. If you're a real person, because I've never seen that handle ever, then you need to send me your information.
On Patreon, please.
Patreon, please. Through Patreon.
Because anyone can send an email saying, hey, I'm a Patreon member.
Yeah.
But if you send a Patreon message, then I can check and see, okay, you're a Patreon member on this tier for this amount of time.
Now, Andrew Valdez says, I never received one of my Patreon package. How long have you been on Patreon? Tell me right now. Everybody. Speak true. Speak true.
Speak truth or forever be damned.
Or forever be damned. Be damned. Skinny noodle arm, be damned. He said 6 months. Okay. So Andrew, you need to send that message to I think you, Andrew, were the one I talked to. I talked to you before about your Patreon. We talked. I remember. So Tangent, you win a hoodie. Give them the information here. Let's see. Go to the bottom here to giveaways at puretpodcast.com.
Yeah, for all the winners, the instructions to receive your stuff are scrolling at the bottom of the screen.
Andrew, what you're going to have to do, I don't know what the heck's going on. I think Andrew was the one. You had said that you were not able to watch the show. Is that working now? Because you're the only one that has said that. I don't know anybody who's said that. Not that you are not telling the truth, but I want to know why that's unique to you. We need to figure that out. Shauna Rain says, how can I buy a hoodie? You can go to the store, the PRT store. Well, where's that at?
Post a link.
And Matt says you can give my hoodie to someone else. I'm good. So what's going on, Matt? I know you don't mean that. So if you want to get a hoodie, and if you haven't, I mean, even if you have one, it doesn't even matter. Like if you want one, Matt, you've been around long enough, just message me. I'll for giveaways at PRT Podcast. We'll send you one. You don't even have to be a winner. You're always in the chat. You're always helping out. You're always being a part of what we're doing. I'll give you one just out of principle, if that's what you want. So, dude, yeah, no problem. Just tell me what you want, Matt. Just message us, giveaways, and Maddie will take care of that. Her and Tony. Keith Hollywood says, I thought we were going to talk about Dogman. The Bultungin is, it's like, I guess it's Africa's version of Dogman. Like, I guess that's what that is.
Yeah.
You know, it's a were hyena. I mean, that's what it is. And Andrew Carazales has an interesting question. The royal blue with black logo on the merch site. That's Anthony. That's a question for Anthony, not me. And
that should be on the merch site. You just have to change the color of your shirt to the royal blue.
Yeah, you can do it yourself. That's something you can actually do.
Yeah. Yeah, like any shirts that you see on our merchandise site, like you'll see one picture of that shirt with the certain color of the logo. If you click on that, it doesn't let you change the color of the logo, but you can, if you click on that picture, you can change the color of the shirt.
Okay, so this person says Paranormal Roundtable. Dee Chan 8 was the first to say she wants a hoodie and has not won. Then Dee Chan 8, you win. Okay, I don't know you, but send your information to giveaway winners, because if Randy says it, Randy Victoria Alexander says it, I got you. He's one of our guys, so sure. And so you win. So then that'll be my pick. And then who did you pick?
I haven't picked anyone.
Well, I picked Matt just out of whatever, because Matt's been around, and then Randy picks Dee, so we're going to take Dee. And who was the other one we picked?
Let's see.
Tangent, right?
Yeah, that's right. Tangent Wonderland.
Shauna Rain says, I only go on YouTube is why I ask, fellas. You can buy it on the merch store. Is there a link we can put up there for the merch store? Anybody can do that for us?
Yeah, can we get one of the mods to post a link to the merch store, please?
Rain says she's been here for a long time. Well, then she deserves to get a hoodie. Everybody deserves one. I wish I could do more. Andrew Valdez says, I can't get on from the shows. I have to go directly to the Patreon website to get on. Otherwise, it doesn't recognize me as a member. That's actually correct, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing it correct. So, Andrew, why has he not gotten his...
Well, okay. So, like, if it's a members only, then you have to be a YouTube member. Being a Patreon member is not going to give you access to members only content. That's two different things.
So I think Andrew is I think he's a Patreon member, because I've talked to him on Patreon.
Yeah. If you're a Patreon member, you should have access to all the Patreon stuff.
Maybe he can't see the members only.
Yeah.
Because members only and Patreon are two different things. That's what you were saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Okay, hold on. And sorry, the first part of the show, we talked about gold and silver for an hour. Well, not for the full hour, but for an hour. And that was just, me trying to help you guys out. And if you want to rewatch the show, you can always fast forward it. But here's the thing. I think it's very important, right? I think it's very important. But I also think that you, not only do you need this, I think you're going to want this, because you're going to want to know what these people are doing and how they're doing it. And I can break it all down for you and tell you. But a lot of the silver, like I said, is not going back in circulation, and it's getting less and less and less. So you have dwindling silver supplies. So a lot of these pundits that are saying, like, oh, there's just fear of missing out. A little bit of it's fear of missing out, but a lot of it is actually supply and demand, and we're not the supply is not meeting the demand. So that's what's happening. So a lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand how it works. And that's okay. It's okay to not understand. What's not okay is to stay ignorant about it. Because if you stay ignorant about it, then it's on you. Not understanding something is not on you. You just haven't learned it, or you haven't been taught whatever. And especially if it's happening, like right there in front of you and it's unfolding, you're trying to wrap your head around it and figure out what it is. Like, I understand it. A lot of people don't. And I couldn't imagine not understanding that. That would just suck. But also, we were also waiting to see if we were going to get 300 people in the chat. And as late as it is on a Thursday, we got a small crowd of on the chat. I mean, I don't know how many people are watching, but we got a small crowd of people on the chat.
It's 268 right now.
Well, no, but I mean the viewers
Oh,
is,
yeah.
is different than. So we had 1,164 views. So that's actually pretty good. So you basically figure you probably got around 800 to 900 people watching. 1,164 views, right? So because the people don't understand that either about whatever it's the numbers at the bottom. Take the thing off real quick because somebody asked me about that the other day. The numbers at the bottom right now is 264, that 265, whatever. That's how many people are in the chat. That's not how many people are actually watching it, and that's how many views you got. Right? You actually have more views than that. So people say, "Oh, well, they only had this many people in their chat, and then the show's over 2 hours later, you have this many views." That's because not everybody that's watching this is in the chat. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's how that works. So, Dee Dee, you win. Thank you for being a longtime listener. And Randy, thank you for looking out and letting us know that this person was somebody who I don't think I've seen you comment before, Dee Dee. So I didn't know. Randy says you posted the link to the merch store. Thank you, Ona, for that
Yeah, it's pinned
donation.
at
We
the top.
appreciate that. So I'm trying to find who else won. There was another person that won. It was Tangen. So okay, like it says at the bottom there, guys. Giveaway winners, please send your name, address, and shirt size to giveaways@PRTpodcast.com, and you'll get your stuff. Thank you for donating. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. And thank you for making Paranormal Roundtable what it is. And I'll say this. A lot of people are being unsubscribed. And that's happening, not just to me, but a lot of the content creators on YouTube. Apparently, there is an emphasis on people. What are they doing? They're putting emphasis on shorts.
Yeah, on short form content, like a lot of content creators on YouTube, even like the super like huge channels, like their long form views are like just like tanking, going down. And it's because YouTube changed their algorithm to where they're prioritizing this short form content now. And like if you've noticed, like whether you're using YouTube on a computer or on your phone, like if you're scrolling on your homepage, there's a lot more shorts now than there used to be. It used to be like mostly videos and then shorts here and there, but now they're just like shorts all over your feed, and that's why a lot of people's views have been going down. It's a big thing. I mean, it's like a lot of people are complaining about right now. So yeah, to get ahead, it's like you have to do shorts to get your channel out there. Otherwise, it's just gonna get buried.
Like Stanfield. Shorts are brainwashing dopamine hits. No bueno. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we got to do it. Plus, it's a good way to advertise, but it's just short little bits. But you know why the real reason why they do that?
Dumb everyone down.
Yeah, because that way you don't get any knowledge. Because to gain knowledge, it takes someone sitting here disseminating information, and that takes time.
Yeah.
So those little dopamine hits, I just do that real quick, whatever. If you want to hear some really amazing, awesome shorts, real shorts, like real material with like some bite to it, go check out Dead Zone Transmissions. Put the link up there to Dead Zone Transmissions, please. Rita Burnett says, was the call-in show on 126 deleted? No.
I made some edits to that because there were a couple of like things that happened from some unsavory characters who showed up, and we don't want that kind of stuff on our channel. But what happens with YouTube is that if you make a video, they let you go back and like cut it up and take some stuff out. But when you do that, it takes forever for the video to show back up again. Like their servers have to process it. It takes a long time. Sometimes it takes like an entire day. So we're just waiting on the edits to be processed on YouTube's end. then they're going to put the video back up.
Yeah, and you're about the 12th person that's asked that. I told all 12 people, shut up and mind your business, you stupid tramps.
Naturally.
And then they all quit watching the show. I'm like, hey, I was just kidding. Don't leave. Joking. I'm kidding. Shut up. Alabama, man, bust your lip open. Busting lip open action. Thought I told you to shut up. Oh, it should be Kentucky, man. Kentucky, man.
Domestic violence action.
Domestic violence action punch.
Trailer Trevor.
Trailer Trevor. What is that? What did a lot of channels talk Dogman like Confessional Something from Tennessee talks Dogman every other episode. Even talking about you can baptize. I think they're baptized. I don't know if I know him. I know he was at my conference and we're friends, but I don't. Did Tony say that?
Maybe one of his guests did.
Yeah, maybe a guest or something. I don't think Merkel would say that. He knows better than that. I mean, I didn't know he was on talking about Dogman every other episode. I thought he was doing all kinds of different stuff. I don't have time to watch his channel. I've watched a little bit of a couple different channels recently, and that's about it. I've been trying to actually watch Fallout. I'm on like the 4th episode, but I don't have much time. But when we were frozen in for 2 days, I managed to watch Megan 2.0. Don't bother, even though it does bring up some interesting questions. And then we watched 3 episodes of Fallout.
It's a lot better than what I expected.
That is as far as I can get on watching shows.
Yeah. Unless
I just want to not do anything else. But hopefully I'll have time because I hear Captain Bootybeard's shipwreck roller coaster is really hitting. I got to go check that out.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big guy.
It's for big guys only.
Big guys. So I did. That's another. I watched the SpongeBob movie, so I did get to see that. So that's where that comes from. Oh, look, Jesse says Fallout is derp. Oh, come on, dude. Really? I like it. I thought it was a good show.
I'd be like, if you're like a hardcore fan of the video game and like the lore and all that, then I guess I can kind of see how you wouldn't like it. But just as a standalone show, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like it's fun. I like it. It's a lot better than what I expected. Yeah. Walton Goggins is a great actor. He really makes that character.
I would offer you one of these cherry tomatoes, but you got to hold it. All right, guys. I'll see you. Thank you for tuning in. And remember, tomorrow night is the end of the Shaunicles, is what we're calling it.
Yes.
So we're going to drop Sean's episode tomorrow night, and that's it. And then, he may come back in a supportive role with another person's encounters that were touched by what he had to say, what he talked about. And if she wants to tell her encounters on the show, cool. But that's all coming up tomorrow night. And then what do we have? Saturday's Wildcard Saturday. We're going to use that slot to talk about this Bultungin for the members only. We were going to do it. We were going to separate it and do it next week on the Thursday show, which is the members only, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we decided to do it on a regular show. And then, so get your name in green, guys. I cannot tell you enough how important it is. Get your name in green and on the members only on YouTube, separate from Patreon, 2 different things. Patreon is every Tuesday live stream. Right now, anyway, that's what we're doing. And then you get swag bags. We're going to be doing something else too. We're thinking about making these because these are pretty popular. I've seen these mystery bags, mystery boxes. Everybody's doing those. My wife came up with an idea. We should do one and do one in maybe, a couple different type of ones. And we're going to see and maybe make some specialty merchandise that you can only get from that box. So, maybe you're on the Patreon, you want the Patreon, but you want the box and you want to buy it now. It could be something like that, but it's going to be completely different than the, what do you call it? The Patreon. So you wouldn't want to just do that and then give up on the Patreon. You know what I mean? Because the Patreon, you're still going to get the episodes and then you're going to get a swag box. So it would be something completely separate that you would only get through that. You know what I mean? So yeah, we're working on different things and seeing how it comes out. And we're having a new logo come out. So we're going to have 3 different logos now. And hopefully the third logo will be as cool as the first 2. But I'm going to see you later, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for making Paranormal Roundtable what it is. We'll see ya. Good night.
Mother Mary, full of grace, full of grace. I don't want to be left in this place. I confess my sins again and again, brought down to my knees. Please, Father, set me free. I know you see all the pain inside me. Rosary, Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, holding on tightly to my rosary. I'm a sinner, from cradle to grave. Jesus, I hope it is I that you save the tears I've cried regarding my life. Please, Lord, don't cut me out of the book of life. Rosary, Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, holding on tightly to my rosary. My repentant heart bleeds, my spirit cries. I'm completely dying inside. My sins are great. I've tread the fire lake. Forgive me. What will it take? Reach for me, oh Lord, in my weakest moment. All of thy own. Rosary, Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, holding on tightly to my rosary. I am guilty and filthy. Forgive me, take this pain away. I know I stray. My soul is tired with heavy burdens, no clergyman redemption. I stand alone, my sins ingrained into my bones. Heaven or hell, where will my soul dwell? Eternity is waiting for me. Rosarium, Mater Maria, potens nemium.